So I forgot, I didn't see the hands up. Who knows what Andromeda is in terms of a concept? You've heard about it. It's a big scary word everybody's afraid of. Yeah, it's unknown. It's not new, but it kind of is new because Facebook doesn't tell us shit about it. Excuse my French. But we're going to try to demystify that for you a little bit, whether or not you can hand that to your buyer, if that's you, or the agency that you work with, and just kind of give you a direction of how we're using this. I am a brand owner and also an owner of Shoperator, and I built this tool internally for my consulting agency, and then we had the wise idea of just let's roll this out because as Van did, and he shared what works for him. Sharing is there's no harm to it anymore. There's like if people take action on it, great. If not, I'm going to take action on it. So I'm going to give you the playbook of how we've been addressing this for the better part of a year. It did actually start rolling out in July last year is when Andromeda started rolling out, and it's still a big mystery box. So let's talk about it. A little bit about me, a little bit of a background. I call myself an OG advertiser, much like Van, because I started advertising on Facebook before I had a mobile app. And it was a long time ago. You had to build pages and groups and sell in there. We were actually really afraid to sell in the newsfeed back then, which I'm sure you remember. And we always had to run right-hand side ads, which was kind of funny. Turns out now about 95% of my traffic comes from the mobile app. So I feel like I've been around long enough. I call myself the Gandalf the Grey of print-on-demand space, certainly, but also just in e-com in general, direct-to-consumer and Facebook. I've done over $100 million in sales of my own sales, not profit. I'm not one of those guys, and we don't do that in St. Louis. I'm not a fake Bugatti guy. I'm doing $100 million in sales for my brands and my clients. 2 successful exits, one of which was Printed Kicks. Funny enough, I sold that brand about 6 years ago. The new owner, sadly, because I poured everything that I had into this company, and sold it because my life was changing and starting to have. I got 2 little girls now. Sold it. The new owner ran it into the ground almost immediately. Went under. In my lobby yesterday, I saw somebody wearing a Printed Kicks shirt. I thought that was kind of cool, just coincidentally. And that's the main drive that I try to have, as you'll see with my new brand, is create something. If you want to sell more, if you want to have a long-lasting business, a big business, sell something that somebody likes for so long that they'd wear it 5, 6 years after the business is completely gone and they're still representing it, right? And then I've been all in on AI for about 2 years, built several tools internally, and then this Shoperator is what I've taken out to the public. So here's a little bit more of my portfolio. OurTrueGod.com, I have the #1 Christian hat company in the United States. It's a very tough space to get into. A lot of well-funded shirt apparel companies. So we found a little bit of a space, a little bit of a pivot, went with hats. Sell a lot of hats now. We sell some apparel too, doing pretty well there. That is a mission company for me. It's not my main financial driver or anything like that, but we have a lot of purpose behind that. And then American Media LLC is a consulting agency. I either, depending on the client, either have a phone conversation with you once a month, upwards of running all of your marketing, everywhere in between. Shoperator, that's what you're going to be seeing a lot of here today. And then Scup is an e-commerce educational company that I've owned part of for the better part of a decade, or actually over a decade now. Shit, time warp. All right, so let's dive into it. Meta has decided that all your ads are the same. This is why you need more creative for your brand. You might have a lot of creative and you're like, man, I don't have any reach. My costs are going up. There's something called, this is very important, entity ID. They're not going to tell you what that means or how things get classified into that. There's not a whole lot of clarity on that. Overall, if you squint and your ads look the same on your ads manager, they might have the same entity ID. And so you do all this work, you create all these ads, they end up kind of looking like each other. They become one ad in terms of the system. This is why you might feel lately that your costs have gone up and your reach has gone down, because you're talking now essentially to one person. Another buzzword you'll hear is persona from Facebook. So you're going to see a lot of that going forward. I was on a presentation with the Motion's another great AI company. They were giving a presentation, so I changed my presentation to talk about it because I think this is a great example of persona. So entity ID, the purpose behind that is to throw ads at a single persona, right? This is actually good if you start realizing what this is Facebook maturing into a better platform that's more traditional. And I think the cowboy boot example is a perfect example for that. You can have the same ad, right? A cowboy on a horse in Texas selling boots, right? In the old way, you could say, anybody that likes boots, let's throw those out. Throw that ad in. Well, people who like boots could be the rancher, the guy that actually needs boots, or the girl who's a fashionista that just saw some girl that she liked on IG that was wearing boots and thought, I should get some boots too. In the old way, your ad would hit both of those people. And so what Facebook is doing is maturing and saying, it's not a human seeing the ad first anymore. It's an AI. So the AI takes that ad and throws it at the appropriate person. So it's only going to throw it at the rancher because it's a bad customer experience for the fashionista. So you have to understand who your product speaks to. And so you can create content for them. Van is 100% correct. You need more ads, but it's not just about hitting the rancher. It's about knowing all the different personas that might buy your product and then creating ads for them. That's the main thing. That's why you'll get more reach if you do it correctly. So if you understand your product, that's why I say it's a really good traditional grown-up way of marketing. I'm a truck driver. Ladies and gentlemen, my truck is never gonna go on a farm, but I own a truck. It's never gonna haul anything. In fact, when I was buying my truck late last year, they started talking about the tail hitch. I'm like, you can skip over this part of the presentation, buddy. I'm not gonna use this thing. I'm gonna jack the tires up and I'm gonna black everything out, and that's about it. I'm not gonna haul anything, buddy. It's not my guy. Sorry. So we gotta go a little deeper. Before, certainly back, precise interest, remember those? That was fun. Who remembers, who's been on the platform long enough for precise interests? Yeah, it was great. You literally would say, show this to cowboys, and it would show it to cowboys. There's no reaching outside of that. It was great. You used to control your targeting through manual levers. It's highly recommended that you do not do that now. Create creative and go broad. Your creative does the targeting. If you put a guy on a horse in Texas and it looks cool, it's gonna go to ranchers and people who are appealed to that. The platform knows more about your potential customer than you do because it's their user you are trying to get to be your customer. Does that make sense? They have so many data points on us. By the way, the fashionista probably whispered into her phone, I like boots, and they totally don't listen to your phone, but they totally do. And they're gonna be showing an ad that's boots. That's why if I pull out my phone right now, I'm probably gonna get a boot ad. That's the way this thing works now. Andromeda is the first thing that sees your ad, not humans. Think like Andromeda in this instance. What are they seeing? And when it goes to this, am I reaching the full potential of my market? So here's the punishment. I forget where I pulled this from, but the punishment of, something didn't show up over there. That's all right. The punishment for sameness, great word. 45% drop in conversion after 4 exposures to the same ad. If you create a bunch of ads that look the same, they become the same entity ID, you're thinking, oh, I got great creative in here that's fresh, but you're actually beating the same person up with the same ad. And a lot of times, if you guys open up your ad accounts, you see one ad is driving all of the spend. Who knows what I'm talking about? Congratulations, that's the entity ID problem. That's what that is. In an ideal account with diverse creative, all ads would be getting spent. So if you're not getting that, you might have an entity ID problem. If you do diverse creative, granted this is from, now I remember where this is from, take it with a grain of salt, Facebook says 22% higher ROAS for advertisers with creative diversity. But I can assure you, as a company that utilizes this methodology as best as we can, don't get it right all the time, and I'll talk about that, it definitely helps you scale quite a bit. We still have to try to achieve this 50 plus conversions in the window of time you selected, the 7 days. to get that maximum scale. Van was showing you enough spend in his ad account to hit that mark. And if you've been advertised for a long enough period of time, you know that exiting that learning phase and achieving that scale and the stability of the platform, that's what you need to hit. But if you're hitting them with the same ad, it becomes harder and more costly in order to do that. So in the post-Andromeda world, the creative is the target, and that's what we have to try to work on here. Your creative determines your audience. Broad targeting, diverse creative, that's the preferred setup. Is there any question who this ad is for? Now, it's not going to be a question for Andromeda either. They're going to know exactly who this is for. And the makeup of this ad, by the way, that is AI. And to the question, does AI work? I can assure you it does. I run all my companies that I work with, even my own, mostly on AI. You're learning the strategy that I've implemented for over a year. I did it the very hard way that you'll see, and then I've built a tool because it's hard with quotation marks on it. I'm not hammering nails in the middle of the summer outside, but women hit on the guys in my ad, hit on them. So I know it works pretty well, right? So it works and the sales represent it. But it has to have some care to it, and we'll talk to it. Who is my product for, and how many different ways can I say that? That's the most important thing for you in the post-Andromeda world. Who is my product for, and how many different ways can I say that? Who's ever done an exercise on that? Where you've written down your product and thought, how many different ways can I sell this? It's a very important exercise for you to do. So here is what breaks down that exercise. The creative diversity concept triangle. Personas, messaging, and visuals. Personas, who are we talking to? Messaging, what do we say? And visuals, how does it look? The funny thing about Facebook is they will tell you at least hints of this stuff, and then they will do something that's completely counter to it. There is an AI tool built into Facebook that does the thing that they say not to do, which is the totally strangest thing in the world to me. But if you use it with what I'm saying here, it does kind of work a little bit. And what I mean is that don't change just a color of your background. I started in Teespring, if anybody remembers that. We used to go, oh, white t-shirt, and then a red t-shirt, and then a blue t-shirt. It's not enough. Facebook scans that with an AI and says that's all the same thing. That's one entity ID. Or the color of the background, or the text. If you squint and it looks the same, it's the same ad. So we have to come up with something different. These are the three makeups of it. Now, if you spend a lot of money, like I spent $15 million on ads last year, you have to do a little bit of a deeper dive on this, but it's all the same. It starts with these three. So let's dive into personas to give you a little bit of idea how deep you should go. Actual cowboys, Yellowstone Western enthusiasts, fashion-forward young women, country music fans, festival goers. I own a pair of boots. They've been on a farm. I've owned a pair of boots for 10 years. They've been on a farm once for an event that had nothing to do with farming. Just being honest. I'm the country music fan guy. So what are you going to do to cater to me? It's the same boot. How are you going to sell that boot to me versus the guy that's actually going in the cowboying? Right? That's the kind of mentality we have to think through. One thing. Each persona consumes different media. Your ad must match their feed to feel native to them. Your algorithm is different than mine in terms of the feed representation. What you do is different than what I do. And so you need to feel native in somebody's feed that you're hitting. There's a reason that Facebook did this, Andromeda. They won't say it. It's TikTok. This is a response to TikTok. If you open up TikTok, it's the way that Facebook used to be, where it was very engaging content. And it's I like it. I want to stay here. They're losing eyeballs. This is a response to that. They're trying to bring people back by having an enjoyable feed that's not people like us, like me and Van, which marketers always break stuff. That's a common saying. But we force ads into your feed that you don't like. It creates a bad customer experience. If you want to win, create a good experience for the people that Facebook actually cares about. They do not care about us as advertisers. I hate to say that. There's a reason they don't treat us incredibly well. Don't ban me, Mark, if you're listening. I'm telling you the truth. If you go away, somebody will take your ad spend in that space. But they're losing too many users, so this is a response to that. So we have to cater to what Big Blue wants. Messaging. Sorry for the doom and gloom, but I'm just being real. There's a way to fix this. I'm giving you the reality. Messaging. What is your angle? It's not as hard as it looks either. Message. What's your angle? Durability, style and status, comfort, heritage. Durability. Cowboys probably care about durability. I don't necessarily care about durability. I have 3 knee surgeries between my 2 knees. I care about comfort. So you match my persona with comfort and a good visual, it'll sell to me. You match the cowboy with durability and a good visual, it'll sell to him. That's the way you're going to be scaling. It's a mix and match. Visuals. This is the same ad. Same product, but if you squinted, it wouldn't look the same. Pass that test. It's an actual different messaging, internal versus external. It's 2 different personas, and it's obviously a different visual. Visuals, UGC selfie, studio, text only, action shot, unboxing, us first them. It's not just changing the background or the color. The combination game. I am not saying make 125 different variations, but I am saying just simply doing the exercise that we just did, which wouldn't take you that long, and you should know your product, you come up with 125 different possibilities through those, just 5 of each of those 3. That's great. And this unboxing, by the way, works extremely well after people hit your site, is a little bit different in the journey too, right? They don't really care what it looks like out of the box if they're not interested in the ad in the first place, right? So I hit middle of funnel with unboxing. It's a different visual. It's not the thing they saw last time. It's fresh, it's creative. Facebook doesn't limit me into the same ID, and we keep on rolling. So, big question, and if you look at my sign back there and everything, I'm very big on static ads. I've run companies, and I've bootstrapped them from the beginning, and I've done that every single step of the way. I try to run as lean as I possibly can, and so static images fit as a weapon, especially with AI. Van was touching on this. Why? Because, especially now, hours is a stretch. But if you create, say, I create about 200, 250 ads per month per brand. I have 6 brands that I work with right now, including my own. So whatever the math on, 1,500 ads a month that I have to create? That would take a very long time and cost me a lot of money if I used to do it the traditional way, where I have an agency do it. I can do 250 ads. Here, I'll back up a second. I was watching the Lions screw it up about, right before Black Friday. I did 250 Black Friday ads, and a quarter of them screwing it up. And they're all on brand. If you use AI the right way, that's the kind of buy back your time kind of mentality that you can do, and reduction of cost. It cost me, all in $100, $200. I used to pay a creative agency $10,000 a month for 50 pieces of creative. Which one am I gonna try? Right? So hours to produce low cost, fast iteration with static images. Video production. I'm a big fan of AI, as you can tell. I think we're 6-7 months away from video AI doing what static images do now. And that will probably be a handful of months, shorter than that. I love Sora, I love VO. I make a lot of videos and images like that, but it doesn't apply to every vertical as well as some verticals. And it also doesn't have the scalability quite yet, but it will, 100%. But static images still, video is always going to cost more, by the way. So static images really have a great application here, and I want to run through that. By the way, a bad concept but done in video is still a bad concept, right? So if I do something like old school way. Like for Pretty Kicks, I wanted to do a 4th of July campaign. It cost me $10,000. I bought or signed up with the agency in March. Thought that was enough time. Took weeks to hire people. Took weeks to get to the schedule, and it took weeks to get the editing. We had about 2 weeks to run it for 4th of July. I did not make my money back. That's a worst case scenario, but it always stuck in my head. That video production, if you don't have the resources, is very time consuming, and it's very, very cost consuming in relation to static images. So we want to find an easier way of doing it. So here's how you can do it, because every one of us know about ChatGPT, every one of us know about Nano Banana, or if you don't, it's a great tool. We use that on the back end of Shoperator. The hard way, with quotation marks on it, is you got to get the prompt correctly. That's the main thing. Most people go in there, they write a little prompt, and then they get an image, and they're like, man, why doesn't that look good? Well, it's because quality in equals quality out with AI on every level. If you're not giving quality in, you are going to get bad quality out. That is the math. So if you're 100-word prompt, it's probably more than that. Needs to be about your brand, needs about the persona, needs to be about the messaging, needs to be about the visual to get that correctly. The role, because we've all done it, is that you do it and then it doesn't look right, or you screwed something up. And Andromeda, just to stress, needs 20, 30, 100, 150 ads. The was 100% correct. They need more ads than they ever have, and diverse creative. So you got to change that prompt up to create that new visual, that new triangle that we were just showing there. If you did get it wrong, you got to redo it. I have sat down and made 100 ads the hard way with ChatGPT. It took me 8 hours. So, of course, as a business owner, I'm like, that's the time that I have to beat. So I hired people in order to do that. But then I just found out I was hiring people to do manual image generation. So it just shifted the bottleneck, and we'll talk about more of that in a second. The assembly, move to Photoshop or Canva to manually add text, overlays, and fix errors. The scale, repeat the process over and over and over again to adjust for the sizes. If you don't do it correctly, and I want you to do it correctly, so these are the things to avoid, right, when I say it. So what it actually costs you if you do this wrong, it does take time. So look for ways of scale, whether it's with Shoperator or with some other tool. Use something that you can be time efficient with it. Brand harm. And a lot of the times, by the way, that takes buying the software, the fee, right? Like ChatGPT's free plan could get the job done, but it's an investment into your business. So make sure that you're investing into your business to get the right tool. Brand harm. It's cool that you can make a Yeti or whatever hold your product, but what does that actually do for your brand? Does that make any sense for your brand? If you know what that trend was a couple of years ago, or months ago, feels like years. The Frankenstein effect. The thing that I see a lot of people do is because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So you get a bunch of images, and then your ad copy has nothing to do with those images. This is a complete circle, right? That we want to make sure that we're making sure in brand alliance. The one thing is, just because AI is fast and efficient does not mean you should sacrifice your brand for it, right? So adhere to your brand. And then zero scalability if you don't do it correctly. You need more. The one thing I want to stress to you more than anything is, like Van said it, I'll say it, if you want to scale your business, you need more creative. If your ad agency or your media buyer is only running a handful of ads, you're not going to survive very long in this market. We need more. So think about more production, more ads. How can I get more? More personas. This should be the primary owner's job right now, as a creative strategist. And then eventually somebody can help you take over that. So manual AI creation becomes the bottleneck. You shift it away from agency cost. Hopefully you can avoid that. That's into the next thing, is you don't need an agency that costs $10,000 a month anymore. Sorry if they're in the room, but if you are an agency that charges people $10,000, you better be producing an unbelievable amount of ads. We live in a society, or a culture, an environment where these ad images can be done very, very cheap and effectively. And so you as a business owner can remove this cost from your business if you do this correctly. And then what could you do next with it? So this is the what we're getting to. Now it's a more positive note, right? The capital diversion framework. This has made me an incredible amount of money, and I hope you guys take this to heart. The capital diversion framework is we stop funding hope and we start scaling proof. The real mission of the static image for us is to test everything, find the winners, and then invest video or higher production in the winning hooks. The perfect way of doing this is what we were going to launch Christian golf brands, golf hats. And we were going to put it right before the Masters. I had no idea if it was going to work. It sounded good in theory, but I didn't know any of the persona, the hook, the marketing, any of the angles, anything. All right? So quick story is I launched it. I put my hats on what looked like golfers on the golf course at the Masters. They sold like crazy. I locked in on the hook, the setting, the visual, the persona, all the stuff we just talked about. Then I flew my old man and my brothers down to Branson, Missouri. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And we went down to Branson. It's extremely nice golf there. And I spent a bunch of money doing filming. It was no question what products I was going to take, what messaging I was going to take, what marketing I was going to take, what visuals I was going to double down into, because I had already proven it with the statics. And those campaigns crushed. Actually ran out of rope hats and we struggled. We had to like ship them in. It was working so well. That's the possibility. It wasn't a question. If I had done that whole campaign of doing that golf, I probably wouldn't have done it. But that whole golf event was $10,000 plus to do all that for everybody. But I knew, or I had a higher confidence that I was going to get a return on it. Does that make sense? I knew I didn't have to guess. So you test cheap, identify the signal, and divert your capital to things that you prove versus guessing with the higher cost ads. So the stage one or phase one, whatever, validate the concept, not the ad. The concept is what works. You build more ads into the concept. We bank the old school way of marketing, and your media buyer or your agency might be still in the old school way of marketing, is that this one ad worked really well. How do we iterate on that one ad? Instead, and that might be true, you might have some form of iteration that you can achieve, but what you want to do is, how do we achieve the same concept with a different ad, right? Those ads that I showed you were all the same concept, but they didn't look the same if you squinted. Volume, right? 10 to 20 static variations at one time around that concept. Diversity, test distinct angles, benefits, things like benefits versus fear versus social proof. Budgets, you can test things for very, very cheap, 50 to 100 bucks before you divert time and money into something that's much higher. And let the data decide. Again, Facebook knows better than we do. Stop assuming that we know better. Our job is to steer Facebook in the right direction for our product. They know who to show it to, and we meet in the middle, and hopefully coexist with each other. Facebook's a difficult monster from time to time. And then phase 3, reinvest into video. Use video for scaling, not testing concepts. This simple diversion of capital allows me to test with the majority of my ads and then scale with just a few, but those few have the biggest reach because they're proven. There's a company called Groons. Anybody familiar with them? If you would have looked in their ad library about 6 months ago, what would you have saw? All images. Now what do you see? Almost all video. What do you think the video is made of? It's all their hooks and testing that they did on the statics. Worked out pretty well for them. They're several $100 million in valuation. 500? Nice. All right. I don't know if you can see this, but let's use colors. This is out of my Motion. Again, big fans of those guys. And it's kind of color-coded for the event as well. Not intentional. But you see the first column, purple, that's $30,000 in spend with a 2X. All right? In my line of work, that's pretty damn good for testing. Okay? And then, my glasses. 10 for a 1.85, it's above break even. And then we have 6 for a 2.17. Pretty sure I'm going to invest into video. That's all static. I'm going to invest into video for those first 3. All right? Look at the next one. We got $2,000 in spend for a 1.57 return. That is below break even. If I had done a $5,000 video campaign and incurred cost on something that only gave me a 1.57 return below break even, that'd be way worse of a return, wouldn't it? But the images that drove that cost me pennies. So I don't have to take the time. I tested it. Hey, that one sucks, but use the 3 on the other one, and then we double down into those. Does that make sense? If you have tools like this is just Motion's a great tool to roll it up. You can do this manually in Facebook or Northbeam and all that. Little math comparison, kind of iterating what we just said. Say it's a $5,000 cost video production shoot, 3 or 4 weeks to get it good. Solid campaign together. That's cool. And if you knew that it worked, I'm not saying don't do video. I'm certainly saying do video. If you look at my ad library, there's tons of videos. Every single video is off of a proven winning concept. And then so we validate those concepts for $100 to $100 or $500 because that's all ad spend. And I don't have to, images cost pennies. And then 3 days of that, I get to figure out if I should double down into it. You can afford to be wrong 10 times with the images for the price of being wrong once with video. I'm gonna take that gamble. How many ads do you actually need? Let's start getting some tactical stuff. I like to try to aim for, by the way, there is a million ways to do this. What I'm big on is an SOP or a strategy or a process, right? So everything I'm saying is my process. And so if you show this to somebody or talk to somebody about this and like, well, that's not how we do it. Okay, cool. But you need to change the same result, right? There's every media buyer's got a different little sauce to it, right? This is about the process that we implement. 8 to 15 distinct concepts per month. At minimum, that's 2 a week. That should be very, very important for you as a business owner to be able to come up with at least 2 concepts for your product per week if you put time. This is where your energy should go. Me as a business owner, everybody runs ads for me. I don't do shit like that anymore. I sit here and think about products and then the personas and the angles and the concepts. That's all I do. It's my main job because I know the product better than everybody else. 100 plus ads per month. That's, I would say, if you $100,000 a month in sales, if you want to hit that, anybody can do this, by the way. But I would say that's the kind of level and above that you want to hit. And then refresh ads weekly. The one thing that Van didn't say that is 100% true is you should be putting ads into the system weekly because the determination of your ad sucks or not by Facebook, or if it's the same entity ID or not, is done within that window. So you need to give it more tries, more concepts, more fresh content, and refresh it into. Think about how many times people are uploading content to TikTok. That's who Facebook's up against. So we need to do it weekly to get more in there, more in there, more in there. The process kind of rolled up looks like this. Research angles, static testing, data analysis, scale and production. It's a repeatable loop. Do not do this one time and then set it and feel like you did something. And this is what you should be doing every single day, or there should be some of this done every single day. This is how we run this concept in actuality. 1 CBO. You open up my small spend clients. It gets a little complicated when you get bigger for different reasons. If you have a $35 product and a $70 product, maybe that's 2 CBOs. But if all your products are 1 price point, I would highly recommend you stay with 1 CBO because we want as much signal into that campaign as possible. Go broad, no interest, no lookalikes, nothing. Use CBO, 3 to 5 active ads per ad set. So when Van was talking about, Van in my head. I don't know if I said that wrong the whole time. Was he there? 3 to 5 active ads per ad set. That's 1 ad set, 5 ads in it based around a concept. Ad set equals concept, right? And then you can do as many concepts as you want within that CBO and consolidate. Weak signal means you're never going to figure out the personas and you're just probably going to get really, really limited. So now we'll talk about Shoperator, what we do when I try to solve. All that hard way, quote unquote stuff, the time consuming stuff, the scalability stuff was about solving my own problem. I was just hiring designers to learn prompt engineering so that they could end up finishing the product and the ads. And that's not what they came to work for. I'm very much not about replacing people with AI at all. I want to give people superpowers. And if you do this correctly, you can actually enable people to do what they actually like doing. My designers have never been happier. My designers have been with me for over 10 years. Why? Because they didn't come to work, or they didn't start doing designer stuff to make ads for me. That's not fulfilling of a job for them. And me, as someone who cares about how far they've gotten me in life and how much we built these brands, I want to make sure that they're doing stuff. So what do? I eliminate 80, 90% of their mundane work. And then they help me finalize a couple of tweaks, but they're back to really designing new apparel for us. And they never have been happier because they don't have to sit around doing the mundane work. It takes a little bit of explaining to make sure that AI makes sense to the employees that you introduce them to. But if you do it correctly, they actually really, really like it. Shoperator is a specialist doing a specialist job. ChatGPT is a general tool that literally anybody in here could pull up and do anything with. And that's why you don't get the best results out of it in terms of on-brand or use case in e-com. So I created a Shopify native. It's actually the first Shopify native AI image generation tool. I know because it was very, very hard to get approved in the App Store. And it uses my brain and the structure of the back end, and then your brain too. You know the product better than you. We take some input from you on the way in. And it's a workflow, not a chat. What's the difference between me and a million other tools that are out there? Is that I am actually doing this with you guys on a day-to-day basis. Yes, I'm on a certain level and you might be over here, but I'm an operator of my business. I am not building a tool to disrupt your day-to-day operation. I want to amplify it, give it superpowers. So the Shoperator advantage is who's ever made a prompt, right? You make a prompt and you make an image, and then you need to make another image. You introduce human error between those two prompts, even if you're copying and pasting it from a spreadsheet, right? And you got to make sure these changes, especially if you're going to follow that triangle. You know, the persona's got to be different, the messaging's got to be different, and the visual's got to be different. So if you screw it up, you got to re-roll. We take one-time setup for brand consistency going forward. You can make as many personas as you want inside a Shoperator, and you can just pick from them as you're using the image generation tool. So you can see I got 2 right there. Those are 2 of my core customer avatars or personas, right, inside your brand book. And we sync constantly with that. And then this is where it gets fun, and I'm happy to show you guys if you want to come by. We directly integrate with your Shopify store. So you pull images in. The more images you have, the better looking your images get. I think the images before you saw look pretty damn good. It's because my prompts look like novels when everybody else is doing this, right? And we get all of your information directly from your Shopify store. We have 10 prompts ready to rock and roll in the core 10. We showed them earlier, I think, or we have them in a second. I forget where I put it in the slides. And those are the best performing ads on Facebook right now. And anybody that comes in the near future, we're actually helping you build ones that cater to your space. So we have all these different niches in there. If you have something that you like, we build it for you. And then you can use it and spin it all the different ways that we're talking about here today. In bulk generation, we can do about 50 ads in a single run right now. And just because we're in beta, the next phase, you're gonna be able to do 150. And then after that, as many as you like. They go into a queue. I've done 250, right? I got a little special privileges to just test it out as the owner. I did 250. I launched it. I went for a walk, came back, all 250 were made. If you do that with ChatGPT or Nano Banana, you're gonna have to sit there and manually input 250 ads. So I'm buying back your time, reducing your cost from an agency, and maximizing your ability to scale by staying on and targeting different personas, staying on brand and targeting different personas. Reduce cost, increase revenue. It's a good business model. 10 plus ad archetypes, there it is. You plus AI equals superpowers for your brand. The problem, agitation, solution, lifestyle, us versus them, social proof, UGC, unboxing, and more. You can put in your core avatar. By the way, yeah, these are the kinds of ads you should run, by the way. It doesn't really matter what you have. Find a way to run these things. So you put in your customer avatar. You say men who are 25 to 35, with beards and a couple other things. You select your brand book. When you're making that ad image, it'll be men. A little fun stuff. I don't have zero idea how we're on time, but okay, I'll wrap it up. Well, in the future state of this, a little peek behind the curtain, we analyze all of the sales, look for opportunity, reviews, all these different things, and then suggest brand books for you, right? It suggested that women are buying from me, which I knew, but I didn't know who they were buying for. I thought it was for the men in their lives. Turns out it was for their kids, right? And so what we did, based off of Shoperator's suggestion, we found an opportunity. I pivoted the brand book from men to kids, used that brand book to launch a kids' clothing line almost on the same day. That's now 10 to 15% of our sales. We did a back to school kids. We didn't have a kids' clothing line before that until this was suggested, and then we made ads for it in the same day in a whole marketing campaign. Shoperator workflow, like I've kind of gone through this, 5 steps. Got some Zen Kitchen, which is protein waffles. I sell apparel. He sells protein waffles. Same application. So it works pretty much for everything in between. And here's some of the results that we've gotten straight from the people that you're seeing here. 10x faster production, 10x cost reduction. And we went live as an app in December, mid-December. We already have over $1 million of verifiable proof from Shoperator ads from clients, not just me. It's way more if you include me. Recap. The Andromeda playbook, whether you use Shoperator or not, obviously I hope that you do, but if you don't, it's cool. So volume wins. Make sure that you are doing 100 ads per month. Back your way into that. I don't care what size you are at. It's the same playground. It's the same rules. Start playing by their rules. They want volume and diverse creative. Not 100 of the same ads. Diverse creative. Test cheap. My opinion is to save you all a bunch of money, divert your capital so you can make more money with the things that work. Test with static ads and let video be an earned production, meaning you're only producing video based off of the winners. Doesn't matter if it's with your phone. It doesn't matter with anything. All takes time and money. That's the 2 things of capital when I say divert capital. Consolidate. Andromeda, the other side of Andromeda is consolidation and signal. If you have 1 million different campaigns, you better be spending a whole shitload of money. If not, consolidate. I know somebody doing $2 million a month off of one CBO campaign. And then automate as much as you can. AI is a weapon for you. It's something that you need to learn how to wield. Whether it's me or one of these other companies in here, all of us, none of us, whatever. Use your time as an owner to understand the money is going to be made in the knowledge gap. The brands that learn how to use AI on any level will accelerate a lot faster than the people that think, I don't need to do that. The case study of this is the Yellow Pages. There's a whole bunch of companies that thought the internet was a fad, and they were just sticking the Yellow Pages. What happened? Went the way of Blockbuster, didn't they? Netflix was laughed out of the room when they thought that streaming CDs and their whole business model, they were literally laughed out of the room by Blockbuster. Now look what happened. This is the same cycle repeating itself. Learn AI, be on the upward swing by using it. Your next steps, if I had to give you some, audit your creative. Inside your campaign, if your agency's running your campaign or your media buyer's running a campaign, if you're doing it, are you hitting one persona or multiple? If you're hitting one persona, you are limiting yourself. It's not a question. I don't care how big your audience is. You're limiting yourself. Every single person in this room has multiple personas that will buy from them. So start hitting them. It's an instant way of scaling your business with the same product. You don't need to chase another thing. You probably have a solid product if you're making sales. Just figure out who else will buy it from you. And then phase, test. We have a free trial. You get 7 ads, or you can go to Nano Banana or whatever. Generate 7 static variations. I just like number 7. Set up a broad targeting campaign at $50 a day. Try to hit some new personas this week. Who else will buy it? Go see if it works. Install the framework. Commit to the capital diversion model. It's going to be how you win with AI. Use AI to knock out 80, 90% of the mundane of whatever you're doing, and any of these things, and then reinvest in that 10%. That's what we're doing. Video should just be 10% of my campaigns, but it's the highest chance for the win. But I want to be sure that if I'm going to spend that money and that time to make that video, it's going to be the damn best video that I have. And I'm going to find those angles through static. All right, so let's put this together at the end. If you want it, you can talk to me about it. I got 7 free images. I'm not doing any onboarding. Got the 10 templates ready to go. Start scaling with superpowers. Creative diversity over ad perfection. Purpose built. Like literally, if you hit the same entity ID, it doesn't matter. Just try to be a diverse creative. So what if it hits there? But stop limiting yourself by just having 3-5 ads. You can't stress that enough. And then purpose built. Context is king. You can't one-off your way to scale. It's not going to be one more ad anymore that saves you. It's going to be that 100 plus, that machine that you build. And thank you. Hey, look, QR code. There you go.